We get to be God's ever-present consistency and calm and peace and love and reception in circumstances and in other people's life, our spouse and children and parents and whoever it might be. This is where, the great realization of these truths lead us. And
I appreciate that description, because I've said on our show, I can't imagine worse suffering than just what you said. As soon as if someone gives me a diagnosis of a grandchild, I'm going to want that.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Don't give it to them.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the hardest suffering in my estimation there is.
Yeah.
Is when the people we cherish and love suffer.
Yeah.
And we want to absorb it, And the funny thing is, which I guess, we're just saying, but the odd thing is that we're trying, it's subconscious probably, but we're trying to mimic the substitutionary work of Christ that we think he had.
Yeah.
Instead of the union life that he had.
Yeah. When you said we get to join them,
yes,
that'll be the word in my mind, is this joining, inclusivity, that thinking. Yeah.
Weep with those who weep, joining.
Right.
Great example. Jesus wept, right?
Yes, exactly. Lazarus.
Why did he do that? He's the resurrection and the life.
Yeah.
Did he not know he was going to raise Lazarus? Did he not know that? But he went there to Mary and Martha.
Yes. To join them in a grief. Yeah.
And he joined them. He cried with them. All the while knowing he's about to raise him from the dead. What is that? That's feeling what they were feeling and experiencing what they were experiencing. And it's real. He wasn't faking it. He's not, I'm going to go in here and fake some crying. He took it. Yeah. Divine empathy, not just sympathetic. Oh, I'm really sorry what you're going through here. And I know it's hard. And, not sympathy, but getting in there in that experience with them, and we're really the same way. We know this is getting ready to be fixed, just like Christ did. He knew that Lazarus wasn't permanently dead, right? He knew this was going to be fixed.
Yeah.
And we know this is going to be fixed, but it doesn't make us flippant. It doesn't make us laugh at people, with people when they're suffering. It makes us weep with them. Is that beautiful?
Yeah, it is.
And that's what people need. That's what people want. They
what we need and want too. That's what
it is.
So special about it, right?
Yeah.
As I navigate this pre-existence discussion that is going on a lot here lately, and I'm trying to figure out, how this all works. What you're sharing there, it just adds more depth to the idea that Christ truly joined us in our walk.
Yes.
So he feels all this stuff instead of thinking of him as a deity with foreknowledge. And, he does have foreknowledge of things, or has been, as he is growing and maturing, he's getting foreknowledge.
He got realization.
Yeah, he got realization, but he really did feel temptation. He really did weep and grieve. He really did feel all of our life. That just kind of deepens some of that discussion of pre-existence or known.
Yeah. Oh, and where that shines through in Hebrews, it says he's able to be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, to be touched by them, Oh my. And that's us. That's our role now. we're able to be touched by people.
Like, did Jesus feel vanity? He had to.
Yes.
You know, he understood the cross as a humiliating way to die.
And it was all
humiliation, you know.
And it was all faith.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't know empirically, he didn't know organically that all this was for sure.
Yeah.
It was faith. And you think about in the prime of your life, you're going to go to Calvary. You don't know empirically, in organically. You don't know innately that you're going to get up in 3 days.
Yeah.
You're just trusting the Father. Wow. That's where we are.
I just asked Chris that question, just put it out there up there right before we turned this on. Like, want to learn more about, and then all those questions. What did he really know? You know, and that you're touching on it, because there's different ways to think about this. You think about it from a deity standpoint, or you think about it from foreknowledge, all these words. But then the way we define them, of course, we have foreknowledge about things. So we have faith about things.
Yeah.
So how are we thinking of those? So to then ask the simple questions: what could he possibly have known? What did he really know?
Yeah.
And yes, it appears that he is like us in not truly knowing. I don't know what it is, organic or not having a proof or evidence or anything like that. That here's the point. Here's what's going to happen. It was all faith.
Faith. Yes. And thankfully that faith becomes ours. Yeah. And how beautiful is that? There's where Christ, you know, I realize now with this realization that, you know, the Christ that I thought of highly as being the, you know, third, you know, a third part of God, the third part of a Trinity, you know, and now he has a greater place of exaltation, and I have a greater identity with him now as who he was and what he did, and now what he does in me, than I could have ever had in that old framework, you know, of tradition.
And to go back, this is more depth to why the pleroma or the body is suffering today.
Yes.
Again, it's that preparatory work that sometimes you want to skip, but how necessary.
Yeah.
It is. We don't even know to what extent that preparatory work, you know, exactly how it's going to be used in a celestial setting.
Yes.
You know?
And it reframes the entire life of Christ. It reframes the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It reframes them for us.
Yeah.
Now, doctrinally, we can understand, right division, we can understand that doctrinally, he lived and taught the kingdom of heaven truth.
Right.
And we understand that. But practically in his daily life, he lived these things we're talking about, and those things are unchanging.
Right.
And so now we can go back and observe him in a fresh way, not just the doctrine that he taught, because Paul teaches us the doctrine for today, but we get to watch the Logos being flesh.
Yeah.
And guess what? Is the Logos gone? No, it's still here. And it's still flesh. And now it's our flesh. We are the Logos made flesh. And that's not egotistical. That's not some narcissistic viewpoint. It's humbling to know that we are the divine presence of God on the planet. We are God in the neighborhood. We are God in our family. And we are God everywhere we go. Not that we are God, but we are his life and his presence and his manifestation. It's the same as Jesus Christ. People, you'd say these things about Jesus Christ, and then people assume that he is God, that he's in the Logos, and he's from, he's in the plan of God from the beginning, and he is Emmanuel with us, God with us, so he must be God. Well, we're all those things. We're Emmanuel. We're God on the planet. We are back from the beginning.
And don't we want the Logos to go its appropriate, appointed amount of time?
Yes.
Don't we want that
Yes.
to fill itself?
Yeah. Right.
Put our expiration dates on it, but just let it be what Father has planned for it.
Yeah. We're not looking at our circumstances selfishly and saying, oh my God, I want to get out of here. I want all this to be over. The deliverance that will come in resurrection and immortality is sure. But we don't want to cut short, not that we could anyway,
right.
But in our spirits and minds, we don't want to cut short the process of God. And although our expectation is glory and manifestation with Christ when he's manifested, that's our expectation. I'm not wishing it would happen today. I am very content with the divine process. How could I be otherwise?
Right.
He knows better. He's smarter than we are. If he thought it was best to end a bad circumstance, he would end it now. But instead, he's doing some big work. Big work. Suppose Christ's life stopped somewhere in the middle and it didn't play itself out.
Yeah.
Same with us. Yeah. And it's going to play out how? Perfectly.
Yeah.
There's where joy is. There's where happiness is. It's not that the circumstances are getting fixed and that we're happy about the circumstances. We're happy about the God who's our Father who wrote the circumstances. We're happy about him.
Yeah.
I thought you said suppose that, something got cut short or Christ's life. I've thought of that a lot as I was trying to wrap my head around all these things and looking at Paul's letters. Like suppose things happened the way he initially was writing things down. And it seemed like what he was going through at the time. And if things would have stopped or short then, well, then he wouldn't have later been able to write Ephesians or Colossians.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you should look at this in a short time frame of 30 years or whatever. I don't know the exact years of his writings. Yeah. So then if we keep extending that, I finally got comfortable also with, who am I to say or want or will say? I wish God would do it right here at this time or right here at this time. I mean, if he would have done it 100 years ago, then I wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, exactly. Dean,
everybody was hoping I wasn't here, before supposedly. So many people were hoping that, Dean didn't show up. Chris didn't show up. That's what, now they're going to be glad to meet us someday.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they are. Dean, that is beautiful. And here's the thing, when you read Paul talking to in writing in Romans, he had such passion for the offspring of David, the offspring, of Abraham and the seed of Abraham. He had such passion, he would wish himself accursed if God would bring them to that place.
Yes.
But aren't we glad God didn't bring them to that place?
Right.
And instead, he brought them to Acts 28, and they're not his people. Okay, well, that was Paul's nightmare. If we understand how he wrote Romans, and And so, and yet what Paul didn't know then is that God had a bigger plan. He's going to come back to that plan. But God had something bigger. Same with Christ. Christ is in the garden. If we listen to him in Gethsemane, he wants the cup to pass.
Yeah, if there's any way.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's rethink this. Can't we do this? Can't this be done some other way? You know, was he happy about the circumstances? No. But you know what? He had bigger faith in his Father than he had in his circumstances.
Right. I love that. The faith was the key, and the bigger picture could be realized.
Yes. And then you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
And then the calm comes in.
Yeah.
And the peace comes in. Father knows best. And he loves us, right?
Right.
And he knows everything, right? So he can't make any mistakes. He's not going to slip up and then have to fix it. Why would we worry? Why would there be a place of lack of peace and lack of contentment? But it's all realization.
It goes back to what you earlier said. Words don't do it justice when we then try to describe some of those things, like even that peace or that joy or this thing that gets within, and we know it's real.
Right.
And Paul's using words to describe it, but then it gets confusing when we put it out here in our English language.
Yeah.
We associate things with just certain emotions or feelings. Yeah. It's beyond that. It goes beyond that.
Yeah. And we can't grant realization to anyone. We can't superimpose our realization on anyone else. And that's why we are worthless to anybody in our life when that's our approach. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make someone see this. And that's why the only role we have is union and joining them. The God, I love Paul says that he's the God of all comfort. You only need comfort because you're discomforted.
Yeah.
And you will never know the comfort of God unless you're discomforted. So our circumstances that are not to our choosing and not to our liking open up the grand access to divine energy that brings comfort and peace. Think comfort. That's probably a process there. Comfort and peace and joy. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Something when you said we were worthless to others, it made me think of a funny thing, how God was teaching me throughout my journey. I would say maybe it'll encourage anyone that may hear this. I can remember some of the battles, and usually I would be upset after the fact. I didn't handle a situation correctly, or I shouldn't have done that. More of a negative thing. But the things as God started pressing upon me this worthlessness of the way, in the context you just mentioned it to others, is when I really hit it out of the park. I hit a home run. It was perfect love, perfect presentation, short, concise, to someone that I cared about, to then find out days later that this person did not hear a word that I said. Completely over and I wasn't mad at them. I wasn't mad at them. It wasn't their fault. It wasn't anything like that. It was just, it made me reset and think, what am I doing? It's not, there's all this distraction within my own brain about what we think we're doing. Mm-hmm. Instead of being present with someone at that exact minute, perhaps.
Yeah.
Exact moment in time
Yeah.
He said divinely orchestrated
Yeah.
for us. So to appreciate those moments now in a different way, that we can be present, not about the past, not about the future. It's right now. And it's perfect.
Yeah.
You can be relaxed and calm. Yeah, I want to see more of that. I know that's real,
Yeah.
and I know that's what it's about. All these distractions, they become. When I look back, sometimes, I'm glad now I can laugh at it. Like, either way, negative or positive. Like, what the heck do I think I'm?
Yeah.
What was I doing? It's all silly and worthless in that standpoint because it's all a Father. So it's not about us and our presentations or how we.
Oh, yes, Dean. Thank you. Beautiful words.
The motives
Yeah.
early in the journey. I mean, I wouldn't want them replayed now. You know,
No.
I was sarcastic. I would throw scriptures at people like they were darts.
Yeah.
You know, to
I'm
play
right there.
off their error. You
Yeah.
know, just loved if I put someone in their place.
Yeah.
But isn't that the process we go through?
Yeah.
And we want to hurry it up. I mean, if we can, if we can force it. I'm picturing a cartoon in my mind of a little kid reaching up the grandfather clock trying to reset the time so he can hear the chimes. But that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to push that time along. And now, years later, would I change anything? No.
Yeah.
The necessary process, the fumblings, the mistakes, the errors, the hurt feelings, the anger, the debates, the arguments, all of it pushing me towards that place where I can look at the word joy and see it as a comfort and a consolation and a nest, and realizing the necessity of all of this, which again gives you awareness of another person's struggle. And let's just be present. Let's just be there.
That's it. That's it.
You said that stable person, that's a comfort.
Yeah.
You're joining them. So
Beautiful.
good. Love that.
Beautifully said, Chris. The thing is, let's try to think in our mind. We won't necessarily give any examples, but the worst case circumstances that we can think of that people would go through. And really the last thing they need in the very middle of that, in that pain and agony, is someone running their mouth. That is the last thing they need. First of all, even if we could impart things to people, they're not in a place to even hear it at that time.
To receive it. Yeah.
They're hurting. Okay. And the best thing we can do is just be a presence in the room. The best thing we can do is just sit beside them. The best thing we could do, all depends on, the circumstance, who these people are in our lives. The best thing we can do is hold their hand. The best thing we can do is give them a long hugging embrace, where we feel that connection of soul and spirit, just presence.
Mm-hmm.
Anything probably beyond that, in the greatest intensity of the circumstance, is unbearable noise to them, And when we can see that.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't even know if we can add anything to that. Gee whiz.
No, that's good.
It's divine energy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Chris, you've got it. Dean, you've got it. I've got it. It's that divine energy in us, and it's pushing a supply. It's going through the supply to each of us.
Right. The divine cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do see and talk like that. Like I said, sometimes it gets funny to hear other people like, oh, what are you really saying? Or you view it differently. Like someone's above or beyond or thinking in an egotistical way, as you mentioned earlier. It's nothing about any of that. Sometimes in the simplest of things, right, we say and know that, oh, there's God. We see him in his creation, right? In the things, and it overwhelms people. It overwhelms us. We don't even know why sometimes. You can read scripture or look at a tree or something, and you might be overwhelmed, and you know that that's God. Mm-hmm. So it can be simple like that to where, yeah, why wouldn't that be? Why wouldn't he go through out his creation in people and comforting others and things like that? And so to talk like that, yeah, it helps.
Oh, for sure.
Helps us be aware of that.
Yeah.
Instead of we're bombarded in our own mind. I don't know where all this comes from, but you're just bombarded with all the distractions all the time.
Yeah.
And we do that, it seems like we do it to ourselves too, but to get more simple about these things, well, of course it would be this way. Of course, Father would be presenting himself and comforting others through us and through and other people back to us.
Yeah. And it's important. Maybe it's important to our listeners to understand we're not saying we never speak the truth. But before we ever speak the truth, we live the truth. Paul uses that Greek word that is best translated truthing in love. It gets translated in the King James, speaking the truth in love. No, truthing in love. And truthing in love just starts with living truth in love, living truth in love. But we're not saying we never should share truth with anyone. But you know what we do when we enter into union with someone and we feel what they feel and join in that experience at what they do, and we're just present and we have divine empathy, we will become aware when their ears and heart are receptive. Instead of pushing information on people, we're able to connect and realize, wow, their heart is receptive and longing for something I have. And it's that divine energy.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's you're exactly right. I have found that to be, for that to actually happen, for persons I've been concerned about or whatever, and then eventually saying something in my presence or to me, and you feel the appropriateness of the time to share something. And I've learned I don't have to get into a big explanation, just little fragments, little things. And then that person gets to marinate in it, and they come back to me.
Yes.
You said such and such. That really got me thinking.
Yes. Yes.
It is amazing. That's the energy you're talking about.
Yes.
And that's the spirit that we join Christ in.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that occurs, and you'll know it.
Yes. When people talk back to you, interact back with you about some realization and understanding you've shared with them, and they respond in kind, they got that. Mm-hmm. It's resonating with them. And that's where you move. You move on to some more.
It's a different presentation of heralding. I hear people talk about how we are to herald and so forth.
Yeah,
and that may be my own misrepresentation of that word and how I think of that. But certainly, why can't heralding be just what we're describing?
Just what we're describing.
This joint experience.
Yes.
Sharing what Father has given me to look at. And, you know, generally when I share those things, it is under the guise of, well, this is where Father has me today. It's
Yes.
Darson would say, my current understanding.
Yeah.
You know, and people seem more receptive to that when I say it that way. Here's where he has me today.
Yes. And so things like heralding, for instance, or anything else we'd read in the scripture, you know, they've all been framed in a certain traditional view. And more likely than not, any framing of words and phrases and verses in the scripture are from a religious self-effort way that becomes some kind of work and some kind of struggle and some kind of effort instead of the natural, organic, beautiful outworking of Father's divine operation, his divine energy. And what a place of freedom and calmness when we get to see, when we get liberated from those.
Mm-hmm.